What's going on, guys? Regisan32, and this is a coding video. So we're going to cover today is going to be HTML, the base language for any web developer, software developer, or UI engineer that is looking to be able to get into the industry. If you've done any searches, you probably notice it's kind of hard to get into the industry right now. And I'm going to make sure that you're set up and you know everything that you need to be able to start making money as quickly as possible. And that entryway is HTML. So let's go ahead and let's dive right into it. So programming isn't hard, you just don't know how to do it yet. That's the name of this module, and I think it is absolutely true. You can learn to program. As long as you're average or at least slightly above average intelligence, you definitely can learn to be able to program. It's like any other language. You just have to know the rules and the words, in this case it's called syntax, to be able to help you communicate. And that's all programming is doing. You're communicating your thought through lines of code. And I'm going to teach you that language. And so this video is called HTML Part 1. This is going to give you everything that you need to be able to make a website today. Yes, today is going to be your first website in less than 30 minutes. Okay, so let's jump right in. So what is HTML? I'm going to give you a little bit of background. So HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, originates back in 1991 is when the first document was published online. And the thing is about HTML is that when people think about it, they typically think of websites or, web applications or something like that. And that's just really not accurate for everything that HTML does. And so what we can use HTML for is online documentation, ebooks and e-publications, software interfaces, and presentations in general. Okay. And then I added a little quote here. This one is actually me. I didn't find it anywhere, but there are so many opportunities to find with HTML alone. And it's easy to see why programming has boomed in popularity. And that's true. That's probably how you found this video. Either you are a programmer and you're looking to learn new skills, or you are not a programmer yet and you're looking to learn new skills because you want to get into that field. In this case, that's exactly what we're solving here. So what do you need to get started making your first HTML? Well, it's really not much, to be honest with you. All you need is a PC, Mac, or maybe like a tablet with a keyboard. I assume everybody has phones, but the screen is a little bit small to be able to do any type of programming on. You need a text editor. So that could be either Notepad, TextEdit, Notepad++, Sublime Text, Visual Studio Code, my fave. And most of those have some kind of footprint on, all platforms. I mean, hardly anybody uses Linux, although I did see it's going up. I saw it going up to 3% this year. Crazy. Web browser. So me personally, love me some Chrome, but Mozilla is a fantastic web browser. And for you youngins out there, you might not even know what Mozilla is. It's called Firefox, but that's one of the OGs and is really high end when it comes to like documentation. And we're going to actually touch on that at some point throughout this course, not this video though. And then a code editor. There's going to be a little redundancy here because some of these are repeats. VS Code, Atom, and Sublime are some of the best code editors that you can use and are going to make coding that much easier because of a lot of the shortcuts that are built into the platform. So, question. Did you know what people that use HTML make as far as salaries are concerned? You'd be surprised. And so in the middle of the road, and this is the path that I am going to be training you guys towards, the web developer makes on average about $77,200 a year. Now, you're not buying a Bentley coupe with that money, but you're on your way to be able to set up a nice little nest egg, and then it only gets higher as you get more experience, and it's like that for all of these as well. So what do they build? Websites, web applications, back-end systems. Don't worry yourself with some of these terms. You don't know them just yet. We are going to cover them in later modules. And other digital products. In short, web developers are involved in building almost anything that runs on the web, and that's absolutely true. And so when we go on the lower end of the spectrum, we have email marketing specialists. So email marketing specialist makes $53,430. Not bad money. Now, again, not Bentley coupe, but not bad money. Okay. And so what do they build? They build email list management, strategy and planning, and then content creation for email marketing campaigns. So basically they're responsible for planning, creating, and executing email marketing campaigns as a whole. So honestly, you have probably bumped into an email marketing specialist's work just as often as you have a web developer's work. Because every website, you more than likely had a web developer of some sort build it, and every email you have read since, I mean, probably forever, that came from a real company had an email marketing specialist write it. All of that markup in the emails and all the look of the email and all that and that super rich text, that's all your email marketing specialists. And so then you have these wizards called user interface designers. These are a special type of people. If you feel like that's your thing and you intricately obsess over the design of a website, this might be the path for you. They make an $85,270 a year on average. And so what do they build? Well, they don't really build in the traditional sense, more than they lay out, if that makes sense. And so they build the visual design, layouts and screens, interactive elements, and the prototypes, or as we call it in the industry, wireframes, for websites. So UI/UX designer, not the same thing, UI and UX. Designer build, design, and create interfaces and experiences that users interact with when using digital products. And so this data is based off of 2024. Obviously, it may go up in the future, and considering that the industry is only growing, I definitely think that's going to be the case. So let's make our first website. So if you guys need to pause the video, go right on ahead. The thing you need to be able to get started right now is I recommend that you go and download VS Code, and then load up VS Code, and we're going to get right in and build our first project. So pause here if you need to. Okay, did you guys download it yet? Yeah, let's go. All right, so we've got VS Code loaded up here. So I've got a previous project that I was working on. So we're not actually going to be working with this one at all. So one of the things that you guys are going to learn right now, this is early because a lot of courses won't exactly teach you this on the front end. I personally think this is one of those things you should learn off the rip as soon as you start coding, because it's going to save you that much time, and that is how to use Git. Git is a version control system. We're not going to go into that. That is not the scope of this video, but I'm going to teach you some important things and what to use while you're coding. If you take a look here, the directory that we're in is local sites and bootstrap to WordPress. That is not where we want to be. We want to go ahead and make a new folder. And so the first thing we want to do is we're going to, I'm going to go ahead and close this. I want to show you guys actually open it. We're going to Control Shift and then that weird curly Q, almost like people's eyebrow looking button at the top there. Shout out to the rock. And so we're going to open up that terminal there, and we're going to go, so it's at local sites, bootstrap to WordPress. That is a folder that we're in. It's a project I was working on earlier, but that is not where we want to be. So we go cd ... cd or change directory is how you get to change the directories upstream, right? And so you're basically just pressing the back button for your folder. Boom. So we press enter, and then which is in local sites. Still not where we want to be. So what we want to do is we want to make our own folder, or make a new folder rather, for the project we actually want to start working on. And so we're going to make dir, which is make directory, and that is to make a new folder to be able to put these files in. And so make directory, my first site. I'm gonna say my first site 2. We've actually done this already. And so my first site 2. Okay, great. And so to be able to change downstream, so go downstream the folder hierarchy, we're going to cd, and then we're going to type in the actual folder name. And so when it comes to in console, if you just type in like the first couple letters and then tab, it'll predict it and save you a couple keystrokes there. All them keystrokes add up, all right? You're gonna be typing a whole lot. Well, anyway, so my first site 2, and then press enter. Okay, great. So now we're in local site / my first site 2, but we still don't have a website. Okay, well, calm down. All right. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use touch. Touch lets you make a file, like reach out and touch somebody. So touch is going to help make a file. We're going to call that, and this is law. All right, what we're going to call it is index.html. Now throughout this whole course, I'm going to tell you a lot. Do it the way you want to do it, so that way you commit it to memory. Commit this to memory. All right, there is no doing it any other way. And the reason why it's for your own good, because when you get in there in the field, a lot of places are going to call their primary HTML file index.html. So index.html, can't spell index.html. So touch index.html. Okay, now, so we've already made that file. Great. Now we need to go ahead and open it. And so the way we're going to open it, code space dot is how you're going to open it. It's going to open it up in a new window. And like magic, we are now in that new window and ready to start that project. So let's jump in. And now we are in the new folder for the new project that we're doing. Okay, so we're off to a great start. What have we done? Well, we've gone ahead and we've made our first file and we made our first directory in the console, but we have not written our first line of code. Okay, so here's the reason why I wanted you guys to get VS Code is because a lot of the extensions that are available for VS Code as a whole, one of the most supported editors, period, and I think it may actually be the most used. Don't quote me on that. But moving forward, so the first extension I want you guys to get is going to be called Live Server. Live Server. A lot of people have to learn the hard way making websites. You have to make changes to the website, save it, open the website as a file from its directory, and then see the website. What Live Server is going to allow you to do is be able to see the changes you make to the website live. And so the way that works is when you install this extension, you're going to close VS Code, reopen it, and then you're going to notice there's a button down at the bottom that says click to go to Live Server. And so we are going to go ahead and do that now, and it's going to open a brand new page. It doesn't look like much, and that's because you haven't put anything in it just yet, but that is about to change. So, okay. So we're cooking with fire here. Now, every HTML document has what's called a boilerplate. A boilerplate is the heading for the page and it contains a lot of information about that page. You have to designate what type of file is it, designate the head so that way screen readers and users know what part of the page it is, and then you have to designate the actual title of that page itself that's going to display in the browser tab. Okay, and so if you're using VS Code, you can just make the little bracket and then say doc type, right? Yeah, exclamation point, sorry. So use exclamation point and then tab, and it's going to automatically populate a boilerplate. So let's go over what these tags are and how to be able to use them. And so doc type HTML, and some people would tell you that you should practice typing this out. I personally think they're crazy, but nonetheless, maybe it's worth it for practice. But seeing as my text editor is going to go ahead and populate it for me by using shortcuts, why not? And you're gonna find you need a lot less HTML than you think to be able to get up and running and be a web developer, especially if you're going to take it all the way that route to be a full web developer. So anyway, moving forward. So then we have the HTML tag. This is letting the browser know what language is in here. Even though it has the HTML ending, it still needs to know that it is an HTML file on the actual file itself. And then lang.in, you may be able to figure out what that is just off the cuff, but that is basically just letting them know that the language on this is English. Head, and then this is some metadata. This metadata is going to designate the scalability of the page, so we're not going to go into that too much just yet. And then the title. This is going to start making our own file here. So what I am going to call this site, as I named it, was my first site. So that's going to be the title. And so from there, we have the title in the body. The primary tag that you're going to use at the beginning of any page of HTML is an H1 tag. And this is for two reasons. The H1 tag is the biggest tag and is used to be able to designate the actual title visible to the user. That's different. The title, that's like my first site, that's great, but that's not visible to the user except for in the tab. It's not on the actual page itself. However, the H1 tag is. And there is a hierarchy when it comes to tags, H1 all the way down to, I believe, H6. I think it's H6, but no one really goes down that far. Mostly you're going to use H1 through 3. And so H1, okay, and we're going to, again, my first site. So that is the heading that we put on. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to refresh the page. Boom, my first site. Okay, it's really big, a little obnoxious to be quite honest, but that is perfectly fine. So we're gonna advance that as we go along. So moving forward, so my first site, so that is going to be the header, right? Okay, and so let's go ahead and make our first message to the user. So what we're going to tell the user, and that is going to be a paragraph tag. So you have the left arrow, P, right arrow, that makes a paragraph tag. And in there, you're going to put, this is my first site, and I'm so proud. Okay. So let's go to that tab. It's my first site, and I'm so proud. Okay, cool. So we made our first site. Great. Now, it's not very dynamic, is it? Not really. It's not. And so, what if I say, okay, well, I don't want to say this is my first site and I'm so proud. What do I want to tell people? Some things about me. Okay, well, that's fine. So we can go to, in my case, my name is Ryuji-san32. Okay. Let's say small little snippet that describes who I am. Okay, so I'm a developer who plays guitar sometimes. I really do need to practice more often. Sometimes. Oh man, I know my elementary school teacher would be proud that I misspelled sometimes. Okay, so sometimes I'm a developer who plays guitar sometimes, and I love YouTube. Maybe if I say I love YouTube, it'd be good for the YouTube algorithm. Does that work? Comment down below if you guys know if something like that works. I don't know if it does. Okay, so that's still one-dimensional because it's just a paragraph. Now we're going to go over what's called an unordered list, and these are just multiple tags that you're going to use regularly. Okay, so an unordered list. So here are some of the things I like. Okay, so unordered list. So as you can see, whenever you type a tag, they're typically going to conjoin next to each other. Okay, this is not necessarily the best styling when it comes to most use cases. In most cases, you're going to actually want the tags, one to be above and one to be below, and I'm going to show you why here in a minute. So in this case, that's exactly the case with so in this case, that's exactly going to be the case with an unordered list. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drop the closing tag, is what it's called, the tag with a little / under the closing tag below the opening tag. And then the next tag that we're going to learn is called LI, or list item. Okay, so things I like: pizza, love pizza. Let's see, and then next thing I like, hard rock. Some classic rock mixed in there, R&B, rap, a little bit of everything. To be honest with you, I'm not a connoisseur of music, but I just like what I like, and I like a lot of things. Well, anyway, moving on. So, play my guitar, and then I work out every now and then. So let's start working out. Okay, and that's it. So we made this list here, and that is a breakdown of, you know, things that I like, who I am, and my name. So what does that look like on the website? Okay, cool. So we've got the list item here that's centered in the center of the page for the most part. It's not intentional. That's just the basic setting here. So here's the things I like: pizza, hard rock, playing my guitar, working out. Okay, cool. It's still pretty bland. It is. It's still pretty bland. And so let's go ahead and let's do our first inline style. And so on the body of this page, we're going to go style. Okay, background color. Okay, let's make it blue violet. Blue violet is a strange background color. But let's go ahead and let's check what that looks like. Okay, so now we got our first background color. This, as simple as it is an actual website, and it is something that people can be able to go and see, and you know, you can just show, hey, dude, make my first website. But I'm not gonna say that it's impressive. It is still a little bit bland. And so what are we gonna do? Okay, well, let's first cover what are some things that are always on a website. Well, we have nav bars. Okay. We have headers. Okay. We have pictures. Pictures are important. We have different sections on a website. Okay. Well, right now we don't have any of those things. We kind of just have a plain website here with just some text on it. And so now we're going to go ahead and change that. So, with that being said, let's flesh it out a little bit. So, me personally, there are some stylistic choices that I make when it comes to websites. So me personally, there's some stylistic choices that I make when it comes to websites. And one of those is to have a header and designate areas on the page using the section tag. And this is for a few reasons. So later on, when we get further into programming and I start showing you guys how to be able to use JavaScript, having tags designated via a section versus just a div, which we're going to cover in a minute, or something like that, is going to allow you to be able to style or change or edit those sections via JavaScript code using something called get element by tag, or I think it's the name of the that method is get element by tag. So you don't know what that means just yet. I'm just giving you a foreshadowing into the future that that's something we're going to cover, and there's a reason and a method to the madness. So all right, moving on. So when you get down to it, like I said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a header. Okay. So we got a header here. I'm going to go ahead and scooch these over. Scooch these over here. And so with a header is typically always going to have your H1 tag in it. So we're going to go ahead and move that. Okay, that is the header. My name is Daryl Williams. Okay. Now, what you're going to notice is, because you really haven't done anything just yet, nothing really changed. And that is the thing, when you're coding live, man, you can get caught sometimes making some silly mistakes. So we actually duplicated that. Funny story, one time I had accidentally put a form inside of a form. We're going to cover those as well, but not in this video. But put a form inside of a form, and that was hilarious because I didn't realize I did it until I went to an interview. Fun stuff. So anyway, we moved that H1 tag, and it didn't visibly change much. It just moved it onto a different part on the screen. Okay, cool. So now we are going to. Okay. So we moved the header and we moved the H1 tag into the header. Okay. So the next thing, like I said before, is we're going to create links. Links are on every site. That's the nature of how you navigate around a site, is either buttons or links or things like that. So how to create your first link? Well, we're going to scroll down, and let's say we're going to direct the user to our Facebook page. So first of all, let's create a section here. So that is header, and the next tag is called section. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this here, and I'm going to teach you guys a little trick. So instead of actually typing out section, all you have to do is left arrow and then /, and it closes that tag for you. So if you ever find that, oh, I have an open tag somewhere, I don't know where it goes, so forth and so on, sometimes just do that forward arrow and /. It'll tell you what tag is currently open, and you can get your bearings from there. So okay, so right now this is a whole different section. This is going to be the actual body or main of the section. Okay, I mean of the page. Okay, cool. So we got we got this section set up, and you know, actually, I wanna change this. I'm gonna leave it alone for right now, but at some point I am going to change it. So moving forward, let's go ahead and let's make our first actual link. So we want to direct someone to our Facebook page. Okay, cool. So check. Let's do a paragraph. So paragraph tag. Check out my Facebook to see my cool life. I mean, that's what we got Facebook for, right? Is be able to show off to people and all that. So we're going to create another tag. This new tag here, is the A tag or at tag or whatever you want to call it. The next thing is important, the href, okay? And it's going to populate, if you're using VS Code, it's going to populate it for you, just tab over. And then from there, you're going to actually put in the link. In this case, for simplicity's sake, I make it a habit while I'm still gathering, you know, all the resources and all that I need for a website. I'll just put like a little hashtag here. Okay, cool. So that is going to close that tag, and it created its own closing tag. Well, it deleted the text for Facebook, so I need to rewrite that again. So check out my Facebook. Boom. And you want when it comes to the at tag, the way the at tag works is whatever's in the middle becomes the link. Okay? So if I want the word Facebook to be the link, then I'm going to put the closing tag right at the end of it. Boom. And close that up. And so let's go ahead. Whoops. Let's go ahead here and check and see what that looks like. Okay, so check out my Facebook to see my cool life. So when it's a hashtag or a pound sign, whatever you want to call it, depending on what generation you're in, comment down below. What do you guys call it? You call it a pound? You call it a hashtag? My generation was still calling it a pound sign. So anyway, when you click on that, all it's going to do is just refresh the page because it's a pound sign, and it doesn't actually direct to anywhere. But okay, this is starting to flesh out. So my name is ReachSign32. I'm a developer who plays guitar sometimes, and I love YouTube. Here are some of the things I like: pizza, hard rock, playing my guitar, working out. Check out my Facebook to see my cool life. That is your first website. And so let's recap some of the things that we went over. So there's a lot to be able to go over in 30 minutes. I know your head may be spinning just a little bit, but let's go ahead and let's recap what we covered. And by all means, feel free to be able to rewatch the video if you need to go over some things to be able to solidify them in your memory. So what we covered today was, so here's what we went over, okay? What tools you'll need. So that would be the PC and all that, right? PC, text editor, so forth and so on. Who uses HTML and the professions those are. What are the salaries of those people and the type of money that they make. Setting up your text editor. Setting up your first HTML file, which is what we just did, and making your first web page, and then making your first link on your web page. And so when you really think about the fundamentals of what a web page is, that's all really it is. It's some text, maybe some buttons, some links, and a little bit of color, or as we call it, styling, right? You also learn how to be able to style. That's why I needed to add that one there. But we also learn how to be able to add your first style to your HTML file. And there's a bit of a plot twist here. I'm going to teach you guys how to be able to add the styling straight to the HTML file, but eventually you won't do that anymore. Mysterious. But if you guys like this type of content, again, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be cranking these out as much as I possibly can. The goal is for every day. Until you guys are able to get your first software developer or web developer role and get you up to speed, cutting down the noise in the market. At some point I may go ahead and bundle it together and maybe put it on some platform or what have you. If you guys want to network or be able to learn from others just as intelligent as you are, I'm going to put a link down below to my school group. It's a group that's specifically designated for web developers, software developers, game developers, developers of all kinds to be able to come together and be able to talk about what we love best, and that is code. And even though you're just starting out, something tells me you may end up loving it too. Most people that end up doing it catch the bug and don't want to put it down. Till next time, guys. Skibbity bee.